There's a mandatory payout in the Rainbow Pick Six this weekend at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. Let's dive into the sequence. It starts in race number 8, and we'll take a look at the daily racing form past performances. Remember, when you sign up for DRF Bets, you will get free all access past performances. Sign up for DRF Bets and use the promo code STAKES, and you'll be getting those free past performances right away. You know, you're going to be playing often. You won't be paying for those past performances anymore. The ones that we're going to look at right now are the all access PPs. So, mandatory payout on Saturday in the Rainbow Pick Six. You know, depending on if nobody hits it on Friday, these pools can be massive and it's a difficult sequence. So, let's see if we can provide you a little bit of help along the way. Race 8 is where the pick 6 starts on Saturday. We're looking at June the 22nd in these DRF past performances. So in the first leg of the sequence, our disaster is a first-time starter that's going to take a lot of money for Safety Joseph Jr. Zayas is board. The dam of this one was an 8-time winner. You can click right on and take a look when you're looking at the past performances here. And Lone Sib was just 1 for 17. So dam was a winner. Lone Sibling was a winner. Nothing crazy when you looked at either of them as far as, real major success. But this is a first timer who goes out for a barn that's very capable with first time starters. 17% over the last 5 years, 57 for 342. And then in maiden claiming races, 22% for a $2.04 ROI. So a positive there. Don't have a published work since May the 31st. That's just always something you have to mention with the horse is going to be a short price here. A little bit of gap and maybe missed the work. Also, just not the strongest group in the world, so this horse wouldn't have to be a ton. But she draws the rail and she goes 7 furlongs. Those are not easy for a first-time starter. The 2 Olivia Sparkle, she was actually favored a couple starts back in a maiden 50 claimer, one of those kind of optional races. And her last 2 races, she didn't really have any legitimate excuses. But the March 1st race, the reason why she was favored following that's a good effort. And in a race like this, you don't need a ton to include some of these horses in the mix, especially a horse who could be a really big price. We have the 3 Big Bouquet of Roses. I think that April 26th race was pretty good. She was a clear-cut second best that day. Then last time out, she was 4th and against slightly better. The race 3 starts back. She kind of got shuffled in between horses. Was inside. I mean, again, her form makes a lot of sense. It just doesn't have to be much in here. She could put herself in a nice spot. Problem with a horse like Olivia Sparkle, too, you can kind of see the gap, though. There's like a month of no published works. I could see the 3 inside horses all making their way onto people's tickets. The one that I like the most in here is the 7, A Touch of Hail. I would be shocked if this horse is close to this 8-1. Actually looks more like a 7-2-ish kind of shot in this race. First couple starts were against maiden claimers, and both of them were good. She was a runner-up both times at Tampa on the dirt, going 6, forwardly placed in those races. She drew the rail in all of her first 3 starts, and then she drew the inside again. Now she'll be able to sit off a little bit more in here. She's going to drop back down after facing maiden special weight runners a couple times. And I just think she'll be forwardly placed. She'll get a good trip. This is a big drop down in class. She's going to make her 3rd start of the form cycle. I hope they send hard. Because look at the rest of the field. Who is faster than her naturally on paper? From the inside out. We don't know what we're going to get from the first-time starter as far as pace. 2 hasn't been that quick. The 3 hasn't been that quick. The 4 hasn't been that quick. Another first-time starter in the 5. The 6 has shown speed, but going a little bit longer, more like route speed. This is a horse in A Touch of Hail who's shown sub-22 speed on the front end against maiden special weights at Tampa. The 8's not as quick early on. Neither is the 9. The 10, Sarah's Dream, dropping in class, has faced better maybe we can get her to show a little more speed from the outside. But just what they've shown naturally, I think the 7 is going to be on the front end. And from a class standpoint, I think she fits really well. I'm going to play a ticket or two where I single her right off the bat. Because then after her, I just got all these other horses grouped up together. The 6 Mobe Princess wouldn't shock against a group like this, but she's had chances against this level. And Prince Miss Emile was a good third last time, was only beaten in neck. She was taken back to last early. She's about 7 lengths off, and she rolled up the inside, then was in the 2 path, kind of shifted back to the rail. It was a blanket finish. She'll try dirt for the first time here. Bianca Hart's dropping in class, facing better. And then Sarah's Dreams in a wild card. This horse might be my second pick in here. Again, the tab has some gaps. You can see from April 27th to May the 22nd, we don't have any published works. But there's a filly who's faced better in Kentucky in her first couple starts. She drops, she gets LASIK, she comes into a new barn. It's kind of a starting over point for her against a lot lower of a group, and I'd imagine she'll be forwardly placed and a little bit fresh. So I had the 7 on top. I'd use the 10 under, whatever you think about the first-time starter from the rail. Both then the 3, Big Bouquet of Roses, is probably one of the safer plays in here. The 2, Olivia Sparkle, I think she can show back up with an effort like that March 1st race, and that would be competitive. Those will be some of the horses that are in the mix for me. Definitely the 7. That's the horse that I would recommend to throw in if you were not planning on doing so. A touch of hail, but she should get bet in here. Race number 9. 8,000 non-winners of 2 claimers, going 5.5 on the synthetic. Some of the horses that are on my radar. The 3, Awesome Wind, really slow start. It was last, about 5 lengths off, and then made a big 4-wide move up the challenge. Just couldn't get to the lone speed winner that day. But sprinting at this reduced level on the synthetic, that's been his best. His last 2 races, and he seems like he's stepping forward. This feels like a really nice spot for him. The 4, he was a good runner-up at this level last time out. Now, that was on the dirt, but he did break his maiden on the synthetic. That was basically going wire to wire. Now, he can sit off a little bit here too. And I don't think it's the class level here stepping back up to the 16, or I don't think the class level for him will be an issue, because the 16 was a little too high. Then he dropped down to 8, and the 8,000 level, he just ran sort of the same race, but it was more competitive against softer. So for him, this is the spot that he fits. Now, he'll probably be in a little bit tougher because you do have a couple droppers in here and horses that are in some nice form. 3 and the 4, major players for me. The 10, so what else I wanted to mention? This horse is super logical. Dropping in from the 16s, where he looked like that was the spot for him when he dropped in, because he was running the same races sort of against better, and then the drop, and that race just was more competitive. So he's a tough horse to leave out. 3, 4, 10, 5 were my top horses. Luna Warrior actually crossed the wire first, but was DQ'd. He can actually sit off the pace a little bit. He's now going to go 3rd start off the long layoff. And he should be in the mix in here. But going through the field, some horses who are capable of showing speed, but I think the versatility is pretty nice for Luna Warrior, who was meant to be just a little bit better than this too. Started out at Belmont, then had a long layoff, saw him at Laurel and Tampa, Gulfstream, a while ago before Belmont, Saratoga. So that runner-up effort going 30 against 35 non-winners of 2 at Saratoga, just from a class standpoint, that was only back in July. 3, 4, 10-5 is how I stacked them. Others that I thought, if you're going a little deeper, or horses that were initially on my radar, what to do with horses like the 11 Gallop Hand and the 9 Breezer, who are both fast, but I think a little one-dimensional. Wouldn't be shocked to see either one of them running really well in here if they could get out front, not have to deal with all that much early other speed, if either one of them got the benefit of that type of trip. 3-4, 10-5 is how I went on the top tier here. As we move to race number 10, this one 62.50. Claimers going 1 mile. So you have the one Storm Brave, who's going to take a lot of money coming into the Barboza barn, back into the Barboza barn. And this barn is incredible first start off the claim with their numbers. The 2 Boldness comes into the Torres barn, solid off the claim. You'll also have the 5 Holiday Fantasy, who's a runner-up last time out. That was coming into the Santino Hernandez barn. Finished right in front of Boldness. I think that's an important race, so we can watch the replay where those 2 exit. Because Boldness just did not get the best of trips that day. I think that's important because you have Holiday Fantasy and Boldness, who are probably going to be your first and second choices in here. And if they have a race that they just ran against each other, let's watch it and see what we can take out of it. They're the 4 and the 1 in here that we're watching. So Boldness is the gray, the 1 down on the inside. Nice start. Ends up sitting 3rd just behind the leaders. You can see the horse sort of wants to go a little bit, trying to kind of sneak through on the inside, but they're able to settle Boldness down. And right to the outside of Boldness is the 4 Holiday Fantasy. So that's the rival. That's the horse who's the 8-5 morning line favorite, who's the number 5 on Saturday. So these 2 horses were sitting right next to each other. Boldness was kind of pinned down to the inside, where Holiday Fantasy was getting a much better, easier, softer trip, just right to the outside of the leader, a 25-1 shot, and then boom, here's what happens. Boldness gets stopped, gets shuffled back, loses 2 lengths, and Holiday Fantasy is in a perfect spot. Now Boldness tries to come on again, but is pinned in by the 3. Nowhere to go. Has to wait, back to 4th now, while Holiday Fantasy gets a 2-length jump on this one. And then Boldness has to veer to the outside. And I think just trying to go outside that quickly, he had a tough time cornering. He goes super wide. And now he gets back into it. And this horse is trying. He's kind of all over the place here because he had to shift around. And it's going to be really tight between Boldness and Holiday Fantasy. Now, if you didn't watch that race and you just saw Holiday Fantasy outfinish Boldness, you would think they ran similar races. But Boldness gets pinned in, stopped, shuffled back, loses a couple lengths, tries to come again, nowhere to go, has to angle all the way around, doesn't really take the turn well, and they're in a photo. I just thought Boldness was so much better in that race and has more to take out of it. And if you just look at his overall form, he's been really consistent. This is a good level for him. He had some trouble at the start back in February. You can eliminate that race. He didn't really like the slop back in January. Other than that, you have a string of like 5 other really nice races in a row. 3rd start of the form cycle for him. Likes Gulfstream Park, likes this trip, should sit close. This would be the type of horse I single. Storm Brave is going to take a lot of money. He's just not in good recent form, and maybe he'll get turned around by the very good first off the claim barn. But that's going to have to be a big turnaround in form from one race to the next. And we saw Boldness just deal with Holiday Fantasy, and I just prefer Boldness there. And I would probably lean to that direction. Single to 2, Boldness for me in the pick 6 on Saturday. Moving to race number 11. Not a lot of speed in here. Mile and a 16th on the synthetic. You've got the 1, Immense Fate, has tactical speed. Look at the Timeform US pace projector. Chilly, cold, and there's not much speed in there at all. And they think the 1 is going to run well, as do I. So to me, if you're playing this pick 6, I think you have to include the 1 because there is a possibility that this horse gets loose on the front end. There's just not that much other speed in here. The 2, Bold Advance, I think he fits in the spot at the level with this group, but he's not that quick early. The 3, Gemstone Warrior, has not shown very much speed. Down in the Valley has not shown speed in his starts. Mr. Brizzle, not shown a lot of speed in his starts. Tis the Coast has a little bit of speed. At least he's shown some in races, including his victory. He went wire to wire. That was going a mile and 3/16, so he did not have to go very fast that day, but he has been forwardly placed going quicker than that. Don't Be So Grouchy, not quick early. Las Olas, not quick early. Kuwait Towers, not quick early. Battle of Dover has shown some tactical speed. Mr. Ramirez showed some speed sprinting at Delta, now stretching out. I'm using the 1 all over in the pick 6s and in late exotics because I'm hoping they just get a little aggressive. Third start of the form cycle for this one, dropping in class from the 25 non-twos to the 16 9-2s. Couldn't get towards the lead last time out, drew more towards the outside. And this time, we'll get aggressive and hold that position. So the 1 is in the mix for me. The 5 is the horse to beat, Mr. Brizzle. He doesn't have to be too far out of it, especially against this group. The 2, Bold Advance, eliminate the grass race last time out. Then you see a string of solid races on the synthetic that would all be really competitive here. The 7, Don't Be So Grouchy, getting some class relief, sort of looking for where he fits. I have 1, 7, or 1, 5, 7, 2. Those are my top 4 in here. Not sure what to do with the 8, Las Olas. You know, you're playing bigger tickets, deeper tickets. He's third at the level last time out. Feels like he's a little better on the turf than he is on the synthetic, but it's just not a group of monsters in here. The race back in October here at Gulfstream Park where he sat close going long on the synthetic, that type of an effort would put him in the mix here. 1 and 5 on top, 7, 2 if you wanted to go a little bit deeper. The 8 was the horse who I didn't know what to do with. Let's turn the page. Final 2 in the sequence on Saturday at Gulfstream Park, race number 12. I previewed the 12th and the 13th for DRF, where we do a horse-by-horse preview on the DRF YouTube. So we show a couple of replays. We go through the field. I think in this 12th race, it's between, Black Belt, who's 2-1 on the morning line, and the 4, Shaq Diesel, to me, feel like the real 2 horses in here. And they have different running styles, right? The 1 will be either on the lead or sitting very close. And Shaq Diesel needs a little bit of help up front. Doesn't have as much tactical speed as he used to. He needs a little pace to run at. But he likes Gulfstream Park. He likes this trip. This is a perfect level for him. Going a mile on the dirt against this company. And I did think that with the 1 drawing the rail, with the possibility of horses like the 3 ticking, the 5, Love Me Not, the 6, Positive Review, I think any of them could be showing speed in here. Maybe even the 8, but I feel like he's probably best sitting off from the outside. But I do think there are 2 or 3 others that could be showing enough speed to help set it up for the 4, Shaq Diesel. Black Belts, super obvious, super logical. Now, if you're looking for a couple prices, I thought the 3 was one that's interesting because his last 2 races were probably just a little too tough. he ran better in those races than the running line would suggest too. He was sort of in the mix, up into striking range, and then faded. And maybe that race back in January did just take a little bit out of him because that was a career best effort. What I like about that is we know that there's a ceiling and a level that he can get to that's not far away from, black belt and Lord Miles' best races and Shaq Diesel. Black belt is just on the speed figure standpoint, right? He's hit the 97 Beyer speed figure a couple times, but the bulk of his work is in the high 80s, low 90s a couple times. And that's what we're looking at with Ticking with his best effort, which was a race where he was sitting just off, kind of fell right into it. Maybe they get aggressive in here. Ticking could be an interesting price. And the 8 would be the other one, who I think could sit pretty well from the outside. Sir Saffer, who actually defeated Positive Review on April 20th when Positive Review was a heavy favorite that day. And the dirt races are kind of sneaky. Overall, this horse has been more of a grass horse. But when you dive into the dirt races, they're really not bad. And a lot of the times he just puts himself in a really good spot. Could he be sitting third or fourth from the outside? Sure. So if you wanted to go a little bit deeper, maybe you throw him in. Maybe this is a horse to include in some of your multis. And then let's close things out. Race number 13. The Powder Break going 1.70 on the synthetic. Horses that'll be in the mix for me here. I mean, I'll start with the 8, Jan's Candy, Jan's Girl, Jan's Girl, who I saw Napa Candy as we were scrolling. She's 7-2. She'll probably be the lukewarm favorite or close to it. I think she deserves to be 3-1, not really below that. 3-1 and above is fine. If she's above 4-1, play her. She had a brutal trip last time out. Really tough trip. And that was on the turf. She gets back to the synthetic here, where she's been a little bit better. The races last year, and then in the January, she's facing Sand and Sea a couple times, who had won 3 in a row. You'll notice they tried her against Grade 1 Company last year. She actually beat Towser, who's in this race, and she's just very honest on the synthetic surfaces. So I thought the 8's the one to beat. The 9 could possibly be the speed if she's able to clear and take him as far as she wants to go. Now, she might have some other speed in here if she's kind of ridden to try to slow things down and harness that speed. If they let her loose, maybe she can run away and hide. The 5, Towser, she'll come running. You know what to expect from her. She should be able to pass horses late. And she's not that stone cold of a closer either. I don't think she has to be way, way out of it. Stakes placed on the grass last time out. She beat Angel Nadeshiko. The 4 is just really sharp right now. She's probably better than when she was on the synthetic last time, a few starts back. Novala. Wouldn't have a problem including her. Others that I thought were a little bit interesting, if you thought about Barakuda, who was super impressive last time out. She got a really soft trip, though. And Chick Shadow. Overall, the synthetic form is actually pretty good here. You go back to that January 14th race, it's nice. And you see a string of 6 races on the synthetic tracks that were very good, including a runner-up in last year's Powder Break. Going 1.70 on the synthetic here, finishing second behind Transient with a career best 85 Beyer speed figure that day. Good luck in the pick 6 at Gulfstream Park. Mandatory payout on Saturday. I was just going to do a kind of a quick little run through here. So I told Barry, don't worry about this week. He'll be back with me next week. I think we're going to talk some Churchill Downs, and they have the Stephen Foster and some of those stakes races. So good luck playing the pick 6 on Saturday at Gulfstream Park. Remember, whenever You're playing the races. DRF.com for the past performances. DRF bets to make your wagers. Big pool in that pick six on Saturday. Let's see if we can take a slice home. Good luck.